Hi YouTube, Josh here with the channel ZZZ Giant Awake. It's been a minute since I've done a video. So this comes a day late as Donald Trump has made his speech today, and this is not about Donald Trump's speech, where he left us still with no real idea of what his policies are going to be rolled out in order to accomplish his great rhetoric of achievements that he's going to bring us to make us great again. But this is about Ted Cruz and his political miscalculations, as I'm sure you have derived from the title of the video. Ted Cruz has got to be one of the most incompetent Republican politicians of our day. And I thought that Donald Trump was the worst, but obviously Donald Trump beat the living daylight out of Ted Cruz, who should have had a walk in the park, supposedly. So he decided that it was in his best interest to give a speech last night at the Republican National Convention in which he did not support Donald Trump. But some would say this is a good principled stance where he is fighting for the Constitution and he doesn't feel Donald Trump is the best candidate and that you should vote with your conscience. Right, and we'll get back to those statements here in a minute about whether Ted Cruz is doing this out of being a good principled conservative. So his miscalculations, at least with the presidential run, probably started well before he ever announced he was running for president, but definitely were compounded by the fact that Ted Cruz seemed to fall in line with every one of Donald Trump's positions, as hateful and bigoted and terribly worded as they were at the time. So he had no concerns about Donald Trump, so he had no problems validating his positions. But Donald Trump even noticed how much Ted Cruz seemed to agree with him. According to a Talking Points Memo story back in December, Donald Trump said this about Ted Cruz. "Everything I say, he agrees with me, no matter what I say." The story continues, "Cruz does not have a fault, according to Trump, except for oil. But I understand it," said Donald Trump. "Oil pays a lot of money, and he's got to be for oil." Then Donald Trump continues, "I'm self-funding. I have no oil company. I have no special interests. I have no lobbying. I'm going to be working for you folks." So this puts Ted Cruz not only in the position of being Donald Trump light, he also puts himself in the position of being less for the people than Donald Trump is. But fast forward to yesterday, where Ted Cruz has the opportunity to look terrible either way. He kind of put himself in a position where by accepting it, he could support Donald Trump and again look like he's one of Trump's lackeys, like every other weak politician that's fallen behind Trump does, standing behind him on stage. Or he can not endorse Trump and try and take the good, disciplined, conservative stance, right? But most people are actually seeing this as a clever calculation by Ted Cruz, and I don't think many of us are that impressed by it. So, according to the Tribune Washington Bureau, it states that Cruz supporters and foes agree that his speech was a risky move that could either make him look prescient about Trump or make him more of a political outsider in Washington than he already is. If Trump loses the election in November or proves to be a failure as president, Cruz's speech and second place finish in the 2016 GOP primaries set him up as the leading Republican candidate in 2020 among conservative and evangelical voters, according to several political observers. But if you think that the Republican Party wants another cold calculated politician, then you are completely misunderstanding the entire point of this election. It's that the Republican Party and the American people in general are tired of old, tired politicians who are cold and calculating. And we see right through this act. But to make things worse, not only when he had the chance to interview, to take a stance and say, "Oh, I'm a good conservative Christian and Donald Trump is not conservative enough for me," you instead state this: "I am not in the habit of supporting people who attack my wife and my father," which sounds like a pretty good stance to take, but not if you're positioning yourself to be the next Republican in line for the office or for the nomination. And trust me, Ted Cruz, this is going to last for years to come. You will be remembered as a weak, short-sighted, calculating politician who has no chance of ever winning a popular election again. So let me know in the comments below what you think about Ted Cruz and his political move, whether it was smart or not, even though I'm fairly sure that plenty of you will agree with me. Also, let me know what you think about Donald Trump's speech in general, because there was a lot that he talked about. I thought it was mostly empty air with a lot of empty promises like most politicians give. But I think that it's going to move the polls. So let me know what you think. Thank you guys.